عليكم. Donc, ده الحصة ديالنا. Today we are going to see the first part of a review of the passive voice, and we are going to review different things. The first, we start with general facts about passive voice. Number 2, we are going to see some examples and extract rules. And number 3, we are going to practice the transformation from active into passive voice. Okay, so I'll start with the general review. We go quickly, and then if you have questions, you stop me and you ask questions. You can ask questions either orally using your mic, or you can write questions in the chat. If you don't understand, you ask me to explain again. Is that fine? Okay. So the first thing is what the passive transformation is and what the passive transformation is not. It means when you have a passive sentence, you change the structure. You have a subject, a verb, and an object, and then you start by the object becoming subject and the subject becoming at the end of the sentence. Number 2, we give importance to different parts. It means the importance given to the parts changes. When we start a sentence with the subject, so the subject is having more importance. When we change it into the passive, the object has more importance than the subject of the active sentence. Now, number 2, what we shouldn't do in the passive transformation is, number 1, we shouldn't change the tense and we shouldn't change the meaning. We should change only the structure. No tense change, no meaning change. That's rule number 1. Number 2, so if you have Ahmed writes an email. So I have here the subject, Ahmed. I have the verb, write, and I have an email. So this is what? This is an object, and this is a subject, and this is the verb. Okay, now when I change, I get an email is written by Ahmed. So the object becomes subject. Then we change the verb. We are going to see the rules later. And then I take this subject here. I write by Ahmed. Let's have another example. We have Siham bought some books. Okay, so Siham is subject. Bought is verb, and some books is object. We start by the object. Some books were bought, and then I write by Siham. So if you look at this sentence and this sentence, in sentences I, the subject can do the verb. It can act. So the sentence we write is what? When the subject does the verb, we say that the sentence is active. Okay? Because the subject, Ahmed, can write. The subject, Siham, can buy books. So the sentence is active. In sentences, in this sentence and this sentence, you can see that the subject, email, cannot write. The subject, some books, cannot buy. So we say that the subject cannot act. It undergoes the action. In this case, we call that the sentence is passive. So do you get the difference between active and passive? It means the relationship between the subject and the verb. Can the subject do the verb? In this case, it is active. Or if the subject cannot do the verb, it undergoes the verb, then it is passive. So that's rule number 2. Number 3, the remarks. Now, the object of an active sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. So we change the structure. The object in the active sentence becomes subject of the passive one. And the subject of the active, we use add. We add to it by at the end, and we call it the agent in the passive transformation. Now, this is something which is very important. I want to tell you is that all the rules of the lesson, we are going to see these 2 forms. What are these 2 forms? We have the verb to be, and I put it here between brackets because we are going to change the form. And then we have the past participle. So let's revise what's the different forms of the verb to be. I will activate your mics and then I'll ask you what are the forms of the verb to be that you know. Yes? What forms of the verb to be you know that we can use in the passive? We can use the verb to be in the simple present, yes? So it gives us is, are. We can give the verb to be in the simple past and we get was and were. We can get the verb to be in the ing form that we call gerund form. Okay, being is gerund form. And then we can have be in the past participle form. That's it. And finally, we can have be in the infinitive form. So please make sure you remember these 5 forms. Yes, okay. So number 2, the action done is more important than the doer. Sometimes you don't care about who made something, but the action which is done. So like when you say the keys have been found, the keys have been found. So the keys are important for me. I don't care who found the keys, but I care that the keys have been found. That's use number 2. Use number 3 when the subject is vague. What do we mean by vague? We mean by vague that it doesn't give good or valuable. Now, simple present. We are going to the second part, which is we have finished the general information or facts about the passive. Now we can move to the rules. Do you have any questions concerning the general facts? Any questions, please? Before we start the rules. Okay, that's good. So we start with the present simple. How can we change the sentence? Now you have someone rings the bell. Okay? So I always underline the subject, the verb, and the object. Okay? So this is the rule of what? This is a rule of the present simple. So what are the rules of the simple present? You add am or is or are plus past participle. Okay? So this is the rule for simple present. When you change, you get the bell is rung at the end of every hour. And because someone is not an important person, it means it doesn't refer to a specific person, we're not going to repeat it. So you have the bell is rung at the end of every hour. We move to rule number 2, which is the past simple. So you have Isaac Newton discovered the law of gravity. This is simple past. It means I do what? I put the verb to be in the simple past and I add the past participle. So I have here the subject, which is Isaac Newton. I have a verb, which is discovered. And I have the law of gravity, which is an object. So if I change the sentence, I get the law of gravity, singular, was discovered by Isaac Newton. Here we have Isaac Newton is a person. So people who have made discoveries, written books, sung some songs, etc. We must give the name of these people. Number 3, present continuous. So in the present continuous, you have the sentence, students are painting the classroom. Okay, students are painting the classroom. So we have present. Number 1, we have present. So I put is, and are. Plus continuous, mean I add being plus past participle. So student is subject. This is student is subject. Are painting is the verb paint in the present continuous. Are painting what? They are painting the classroom. This is an object. So I write the classroom, because it's singular, is plus being plus past participle by students. That's for present continuous. Past continuous. You have, they were building a new stadium in our neighborhood. So you have was or were plus being plus past participle. That's the rule for past continuous. So if you take this sentence here, so you have they is subject and it is a pronoun. We have were building is a verb in the past continuous. They were building what? A new stadium. Okay? So I start with a new stadium and it is singular. Was plus being plus the past participle of the verb to build is built. Okay? In our neighborhood. That's for past continuous. We move on to present perfect simple. Now, generally, what is the present perfect? The present perfect is the auxiliary have or has plus the past participle of the verb. This is present perfect. When I want to change it into the passive, I use again have or has plus been plus past participle. Okay? So, if I say here, the king has suggested, which is a verb, has suggested what? Many reforms. الريفورم هما الإصلاحات. So the king has suggested many reforms. I change the sentence into the passive, so I start with many reforms. It's plural, so I choose have, okay, plus been, plus past participle of the verb. So I say many reforms have been suggested by the king. Next is the past perfect, which you have seen this year. Now, the past perfect is what? The past perfect is when you have had plus past participle. Now here you have two sentences, sentence number 1 and sentence number 2. But we care about the sentence where we have a subject, a verb, and an object. So I start here with the room service, that's the subject. Had order is a verb, and had ordered what? They had ordered the room. So what is the rule of the past perfect? It's like the present perfect. So we put had plus been plus past participle. So I say the room had been ordered by the room service when we arrived. Okay? The room, that's object, had been ordered, that's had plus been plus ordered plus, okay, the agent by the room service when we arrive. So that's the rule for the past perfect simple. The modals now. We have two possibilities. Sometimes you find a modal followed by verb infinitive directly. Like what? Like this sentence, you have what? You have we, which is the subject of the sentence. We have must, which is the modal. This is the modal. And we have, after the modal, we have a verb infinitive, which is the verb to do. We must do what? We must do something. That's an object. We must do something to fight illiteracy. So, what's the rule here? When I want to change a sentence where you have a modal, I write the same modal. Okay? It means if I have must, I keep must. If I have should, I keep should. If I have can, I keep can. If I have will, I keep will, etc. Plus be plus past participle. Like here, I say something. The modal is must, so I repeat it. Something must plus be, and the past participle of the verb to do is done. So something must be done to fight illiteracy, and we don't repeat we because it is not important. Now, the second part of the modal is when you don't have modal plus verb infinitive, but you have modal plus have plus past participle. In this case, you are going to have a different rule. And what is this rule? you are going to flip the modal again, plus have plus been plus past participle. Okay? Now let's apply this rule. You have here the police is subject, followed by a modal which is will, plus have, plus past participle. Okay? So that's modal, will, plus have, plus past participle. So the police will interview who? They will interview her. Okay? That's the object. And by next week, it is the time. It's the expression of time. So the object pronoun becomes the subject pronoun. She will have, and I add been, as you see in the rule. Will, modal, plus have, plus been. And the past participle of the verb interview is interviewed. So she will have been interviewed by the police by next week. Now look here that I have put by the police between brackets. It means it is optional. If you want to add it, it's fine. If you don't want to add it, it's fine. Now we can move to the last rule, okay, in this first part, be going to. Now generally when you have be going to is when you talk about future plans. So you are going to have or is or are plus Samir is going to type all the reports next Friday. Samir is going to type all the reports next Friday. So Samir is subject. Is going to is the expression we are studying today, plus verb, that's the verb here. And Samir is going to type what? All the reports. Okay? So, what is the rule for this expression? The rule is that we put or is or are plus going to plus be plus past participle. Now, is, are, going to plus be plus past participle. So we take all the reports, here it's plural, plus are, because it's plural, so I have are, and then going to be plus typed. This is the verb I put to the past participle, typed next Friday. Now, these are the whole rules of the passive voice transformation. So you have the rules now. Now, are all the rules clear so that we can move to a practice exercise? So, we start the practice with the first exercise. And here you have put the following sentences into the passive. These are like the examples you get in the national exam. So the first one, the first example, our company starts a new project in January. So which tense do you have in this sentence? Our company starts a new project in January. That's our company starts a new project in January. So, this sentence is in the simple present. I couldn't hear your answers. So, this sentence is in the simple present. Okay? So, this is the object. This is the verb in the simple present. And this is the subject. Okay? So, we are going to change the sentence into the passive, and it gives a new project is started by our company in January. A new project is started by our company in January. That's fine?